And woo indeed. Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guests are just two best friends here to celebrate the release of their brand new podcast, Office Ladies. Each week, they take a deep dive into an episode of The Office with behind-the-scenes stories and trivia you've never heard before. More so than most Office podcasts out there, I'm inclined to believe these two because, oh yeah, they starred in the show. Folks, Jenna Fischer and Angela Kinsey are here. Can you believe it? Make some noise. Look at them. They're here. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. Congratulations. Today is the day. It is podcast release day. It is official. It is out there. How do you feel?
We feel good. We're excited.
I'm nervous-sided. Nervous-sided.
Nervous-sided.
Yeah, that's what my daughter says.
Nervous-sided.
Yeah, hashtag nervous-sided.
That's perfect. I was listening to the first episode. You were saying you were nervous while you were recording it. You had to stop midway for a dance party, I believe. Is that true? Is that what you had, Angela?
Yes, there is video of it somewhere out there.
We'll find it. We'll post it.
But yeah, Jenna just sort of like, all of a sudden she looked at me and she was like, uh-oh. I was like, what's happening? She's like, my computer brain shutting down.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's dance. I had some Taylor Swift on my phone. I busted out some paper rings, and we danced it out for a minute.
And it worked. And then I got rid of the nerves. Yeah.
Got rid of the show jitters and all that sort of stuff. Well, I'm excited to talk to you guys about making it, about the process, about all that stuff. Just talking about excitement. I saw before this episode even released, just the trailer, you guys had like 6,500 positive 5-star reviews on iTunes. People were so excited. What's it like to be in the middle of all that excitement, to see that?
The response and support has been amazing, and we just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had called Jenna and I was like, sort of.
We teared up a little bit.
It just was really moving. I think the show means a lot to us. It was an amazing chapter of our lives. It's where we became best friends. Yeah. A lot of life happened in those 9 years, and we love the show. We love the characters, and to see it keep finding an audience and to feel your support really meant a lot to us.
Yeah. How many episodes have you guys recorded so far? How many have you done?
We've recorded 5 so far. Okay. We're almost through the first season.
Yeah.
There's like 201 episodes of The Office, so we'll keep going as long as you're listening.
As you guys are listening, we'll keep at it.
Yeah.
Have the mid-show dance parties subsided? Have the nerves subsided, or are you still a little nervous each time you sit down?
I still feel nervous because we really want it to be perfect. I think it just speaks to our love of the show and how much we know fans like it. We want to put out a great show every time. So I do still get nervous each time before we start recording.
Yeah, I do too, a little bit. I mean, it is getting easier. And also, we're best friends in real life. So we'll sort of start talking about the episode, and then then I'll tell you a rosé I tried. I don't know. We sort of do a little this, and we're like, okay, focus. So we're actually having a lot of fun. And one of the things we loved about doing The Office was getting to see each other every day. And Jenna says that she was trying to figure out a way for us to work together ever since we stopped working together, which I think is so sweet.
I've also been looking for a job I can do in sweatpants.
Yes, so she found all of those.
So I'm
chatty.
Especially excited.
It all worked out.
But I think we found our formula now. We found our rhythm. Every episode starts with something called Fast Facts.
Yes, tell us about Fast Facts.
Something. You mean the thing you made up, Jenna, that you love?
Fast Facts.
You love your Fast Facts?
Not to be confused with Angela Tidbits, which we found organically.
Kinsey Tidbits.
Kinsey Tidbits, I'm so
which
sorry.
Which wasn't planned, but that also was my MO.
So we got Kinsey Tidbits and the Fast Facts, which are patented.
So the Fast Facts. So every episode will start with 3 overreaching facts about that episode. So an example of a fast fact might be, this is the first episode where we meet Craig Robinson and his character of Daryl, and then we'll tell a story about what it was like to meet him and some things about him. And then after that, we move into breaking down the episode more scene by scene and telling you things. For example, in the Alliance episode, we talk about how much ice cream cake we had to eat and how sick we all got.
Got so sick. In the scene, I had to take just a bite at the beginning when Michael walks up to Phyllis and I. And by the end, we did it for 5 hours. And by the end, I was doing this.
Her body was full on
my
rejecting
body was rejecting it because I was like, okay. But so there's stories like that.
But then also some stories, we talk about just some of our castmates because we spent our lives together. And so I remember the episode when Rainn Wilson's son was born and he came into work with news of his child and things like that. So there's some of those personal memories sprinkled in there too.
Are you finding as you're going along, because 201 episodes, 9 years of your life, it's so much that transpires over that time. by watching these shows, are you unlocking memories that you didn't realize you still had? Are you remembering things that you forgot you remembered? Like, what's it been like to see it one at a time in a row, just to kind of go through it so far?
It's crazy. This is the first time I've seen a lot of these episodes since they originally aired. Yeah. So, and we used to get together as a cast and watch the shows together. We had
did
these
in the
viewing
early
parties at
days.
each other's houses.
We would take, yes, we
For
would
years,
take
actually.
turns hosting. I remember like the first time everyone came to my apartment, I was like, listen, there's no street parking. And I don't have passes, so good luck. I ordered pizzas, but everyone came.
That's amazing.
So now to watch it again after all this time, I'm getting a new perspective. But I'll watch it and I'll have a faint memory about something, but I'll be able to text the person. So I've been reaching out to cast members and writers and directors to help refresh my memory about things as well.
Well, that's what I was talking to my friend Courtney backstage about the podcast. She listened to it today as well, and we were calling it like a game changer in the world of recap podcasts, because you guys firsthand
Can
experience.
we quote you on that?
Go, please,
Yeah.
please do. Quote
Right
Courtney.
here at
Quote-
AOL
quote
Build, you
Courtney.
heard it.
It was her line, but it's true, because you were there and you have access. So it's like, if it's not a memory you have, you can reach out to your editor or whoever directed that episode. And so there's stories and facts and things that I've never heard, and I'm a big Office fan, so it's pretty amazing and very exciting. You guys,
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad
well,
to hear
of
you say
course.
that.
No, you guys are crushing it so far. What about the
We got wine.
preparation, though? How do you get ready for that? I think a lot of people, because you talk about how the conversation, we'll talk about wine too, but I think a lot of preparation goes into making a podcast. It sounds organic, but you got to do notes. You got to do research. What's that like?
We do. Well, we both watched the episode. I probably watched whatever episode we're doing at least once or twice. Definitely. I've been watching them probably sometimes 2 or 3 times, just so it's super fresh. And
We watch them separately. We don't watch
Yeah.
it together because we like to surprise each other with memories.
that's what we found out, is that we get really tickled if we stump one another. And there's like some bragging rights. Jenna gets a very smug look on her face if she like has a little something. And she's very much like, we sort of joke that Jenna is Dwight in real life. Because
You joke that.
no, it's everybody,
don't joke
We're all
that.
talking about it. We were talking about it earlier, right? Anyway, she loves her a list. She loves her some fast
Fast
facts,
fact.
a little synopsis. She's got like her notepad, and it's got all this stuff like written out. And then I come in with a bunch of colorful note cards and I spread them all out. It doesn't make any sense to Jenna. And that's how the Kinsey tidbits came in. Kinsey
Angela's
tidbit-
become kind of our background expert.
Well, I mean, I just love the background. Like, I was like, Jenna, why is there an Elm? No, there was an ET on Jim's desk. I was like, when did that ET? You're like, where? And I was like, please go to 11 minutes, 8 seconds. I don't, like, I get kind of obsessed.
Yeah.
But I'll watch the episode. If there's a DVD commentary, I'll listen to it. If there is deleted scenes, I watch the deleted scenes.
Or an article that maybe, some
Yes.
episodes like people are interviewed and talked about. We do a little bit of a deep dive.
We kept diaries and journals. So
Mm-hmm.
I have journals from my time on The Office. So I can go back and read those.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will text cast members and crew members and ask questions.
And I have a
So
lot
that's the
of
preparation that goes in.
I have a lot of memorabilia. I was, Jenna jokes that I'm a hoarder. I say scrapbooker. So I have a lot of photos, and like I have like the memo the day we got Wi-Fi, because for 2 years we didn't have any internet on the set. So we were just like playing game. We played solitaire. That was really part of our lives. We passed notes. We did things like that. And I don't know why I kept the memo the day we got internet.
Funny thing to keep.
Yeah, so I go and I look at all my memorabilia before the episode as well, because the photos sort of inform me what we were doing in our own lives at that time.
That's kind of where, I think I read this in the New York Times, and you guys mentioned it, that's where the podcast was sort of born of. You guys were both going through the Rubbermaid bins, as it were, right?
Yeah.
And looking at all the old memorabilia that you've amassed. What item in there elicited the biggest gasp? Like,
I know what I showed you.
I know what comes to
pausing?
my mind.
Is it the one?
The wedding invitation.
Yes, I saved Dwight and Angela's wedding invitation. Not invitation, their
The
program.
program
The
for their
wedding
wedding.
program.
And there are these amazing little
nuggets.
inside jokes written inside of
Yeah.
the program.
Like who the groomsmen are and who like little things like the flower, like all the stuff.
Anytime our props department had to make a prop for us, even if it was just an invoice or a sales form or a memo, they would write it out in wonderful detail. And if you read it, there were all these little
had a
jokes
lot of fun.
inside.
And we even called, so between Jenna and I, we really were sort of like the party planning committee. Like, we really have stayed in touch with everyone, and between the two of us, we have access. So we reached out to Phil Shea, who was our prop master for one of the episodes, and he comes and talks about a prop that people were asking a lot about. So it's been fun for us to like go back and learn some things even we didn't know.
Yeah, on the episode The Alliance,
Don't give it away.
I'm not going to give it away, but there's a secret that I'm pretty sure no one knows about a particular prop that Phil Shea reveals.
So excited.
See, that's the face. That's the face. Yeah.
So you talk about having guest stars in. Have you talked to, Oscar, Brian, anybody, Rain? Are they going to make appearances? Have you talked to them?
Rain is already in.
He's already in episode 3?
Healthcare.
Oh, that's so fun.
No, we're going to
Rain's
hit
gonna
everyone
come tell
up.
you all about hot dog fingers.
Yes.
Got a big piece of trivia about that as well.
It's so amazing. You guys talk about how you've been waiting for an opportunity to work together again. Have there been opportunities that didn't feel right? Like, I'm surprised. Has John called you up to be in A Quiet Place 2? Like, have things happened that we just haven't heard of because they didn't make sense? Like,
No, we've both been committed elsewhere, and under contract. I was on a show for Netflix. Jenna had a show, and we both have just had other projects. So this is the first time as well that we were both free at the same time.
We've been wanting to work together for a long time, and we finally had a conversation where we said, okay, let's make the space for this, because we had to really decide. We had to say, what is it that we want to do together? What do we want to create together? And I'm actually really proud of us. I'm proud that we made this space, and I'm proud that we are going out and kind of carving a path for ourselves together.
I know we laughed, but I would love to see you both in A Quiet Place 2. I'm just going to put that out in the universe.
Guess
you,
what?
Ralph.
Guess what? It wouldn't be quiet.
Unfortunately.
It wouldn't be quiet.
It wouldn't be
No.
Chatty Place 1
I know.
would
Chatty
be our
Pla-
film.
Yeah, Chatty Place.
Next one. Of course, the show was huge when it was on the air, and then it remained a big thing. But then when it hit Netflix, now there's office sleepovers, there's office parties. It's sort of come back. It's almost bigger than it was when it was broadcast.
I think it is bigger than it
yeah,
was.
it's bigger, right?
Yeah, it's definitely bigger.
So that kind of answers where I'm heading. Have you felt that fire burn a little bit brighter in recent times? Like you've been like, oh my gosh, it's getting more intense again. Like, did it kind of subside? It was always a part of your lives, and now it's like the world is back and asking you about it all the time. Like,
Yes, completely. You have it. Yeah. So when and I think some of that is the nature of streaming, that you can binge and you can rewatch, and that wasn't
put it
something you
on
could
in the
do when it was
background.
on
Yeah.
weekly live network television. You couldn't binge it. You couldn't watch it 3
Yeah.
times.
I have people tell me that they come home and they just put it on and it's in the background while they're just hanging out or whatever, that it's like comfort for them.
yeah, like they're
And
friends in Scranton.
They're friends, yeah.
Yeah, they're just
Like
hanging
Thunder
out with them
Mifflin.
while they fold their laundry or something. It's just a very
Except
soothing
Angela
show.
Martin wouldn't be hanging out with you. No, stranger danger.
No, there is a comfort to having the show on, and that's something I'm always curious about when we have somebody in here who's been a part of one of those projects that provides people great comfort. I asked Ralph Macchio, what's his version of The Karate Kid? People put that movie on, they love it. What does he watch? So my question to you is, what is your comfort thing? Is it The Office? Is there something else?
Yes, I watch myself
Yes, exactly.
for comfort.
And I laugh and I laugh and I rewind. No one rewinds anymore. Well, we kind
I
of rewind.
watch Special Victims Unit, Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
dig into.
I've seen them all, and that is comfort for me.
No, I get that.
What?
What? Dun, dun.
Especially
I
at the time
love that
before you could
show.
stream, that show is just always on. Like that
Yeah,
was like
it's on
streaming before there was
USA.
streaming. Like you could just find Special Victims Unit if you
Yeah.
wanted to take a nap and that was your comfort show. You could find it. Like,
First, it was Law and Order, but then somehow
love Law and Order.
Special Victims Unit took over for me.
back in the day, Olivia and Stabler was hard to beat those two.
Right.
I know. Yeah.
I know.
I'm with you.
I live for Downton Abbey. Like I've watched it all the way, and it's just like beautiful to look at. So I look at the scenery, but I love it. I love me some Lady Mary. She is the Angela Martin of Downton Abbey. I love her.
A lot of fans, if you look out there, there's certain episodes that, for all the times we watch the show over and over again, some people cannot watch Scott's Tots or cannot watch Phyllis's Wedding. You hear them. There's groans and gasps.
Yes.
Are there
They're just
episodes
too
that are
uncomfortable.
tough for you guys
To watch?
to watch? Is there an episode you're like, oh, we're going to have to get through that one? No.
I mean, there are moments that are super cringy. I mean, real cringy. I power through
Scott's Tots is probably the most difficult.
it. That is,
That's the most cringy.
Yeah.
But I think maybe when Pam slaps Michael, I know that's a big controversy when he's dating her mom. But yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really funny. I just remembered. Sorry. I'm just being a fan. I'm like, oh, yeah, he dated your mom. How awkward. Moments that, I don't know. There's just different moments throughout the whole, series that just kind of gut me sometimes. Even as simple as, in the early days when Michael fake fires Pam in front of Ryan the temp, and then you realize that, as much as she hates that crappy job, she needs it, and there's a lot of actually Pam moments that kind of break my heart along the way. And Jenna did such a great job, showing that side of Pam.
Do you guys foresee going through and watching every episode and revisiting it for the first time in a long time? I know you've said before in other interviews, Jenna, I think you said your favorite episode was Dinner Party. Do you foresee your opinion of what your favorite episode was? Do you see that changing or morphing as you sort of re-experience all of these things?
Yes, definitely. Because watching some of these episodes, I'm seeing that there are these little sleeper gems. One's storylines or moments or scenes that maybe I had forgotten about because they don't have the big splash of a Niagara or a Christmas party or something like that. I did catch the episode where it's a later Halloween episode where Pam is Olive Oil and she's dressed up and then she's trying to find out why Danny didn't want to date her. Yeah. And it's because he thought she was a little dorky. And I was like, oh, I loved that storyline. That was so sweet. But it did take rewatching the episode for me to remember it.
There's a lot of great moments, too, in those later seasons. There are, some Michael purists out there, if you go to, The Office subreddit, that's once Michael Scott leaves, I'm done with the show. Yeah. And they don't keep going. But I think, especially for your characters, there's so much that takes place in those last two seasons. Do you have, you talk about that party, Angela, maybe a moment with Angela from, the seasons at the end that you remember that are very fond for you?
I mean, when my character moved in with Oscar, after what Oscar and the senator had done, but then of all people, Oscar at the end of the day is who I could count on and who took me in with my child. I loved all of that. That was just so fun to play out, and it meant so much to me. Oscar and I have been friends a long time. We were friends before we were on The Office. We were in a sketch comedy show called Hot Towel. You probably didn't see it. But so it meant a lot to us as friends, and then also for our characters. And just even the set design of his apartment was amazing. They built his whole apartment. It was fantastic. And we sort of joked that the spinoff, would be me living in his closet. But there's a lot of moments like that.
That's amazing. Wow, what's their favorite set that you got to work on other than The Office? Because I know it was always a joy when you got out of The Office.
Oh, right, when we traveled.
Yeah. Favorite field trip?
Favorite field trip? I mean, I loved it when I ran Dwight off the road. I mean, that was I got to do that little stunt drive myself.
Did you really?
Yes. I got to pull off the road and hop out of the car and yell at him. And then I loved all of that kind of driving sequence. Whenever we were crammed in a car, Meredith's van, oh my God, that van was so disgusting in real life. They wanted it to be disgusting.
Yeah, actually, you bring up Kate Flannery, who played Meredith, the episode where we end up doing karaoke after we've done the lice treatment and everything, and she shaves her head. That was one of my favorite days of filming because I got to just have this concentrated time with Kate, who's so funny, and I didn't get a lot of scenes between Meredith and Pam, so that's a really special one to me.
Ooh, I just thought of one. This is what happens on our podcast, too, so we get off topic really quickly. But at Jim and Pam's wedding, in between scenes, we were sitting out on this sort of patio off the side of the church, and Creed had brought his mandolin, and Ed brought his banjo, and they played on the patio, and we just all were sitting there singing, the whole cast just kind of hanging out singing, and Jenna was in the wedding dress, and I took this great picture of her. She's looking over her shoulder at me, and everyone is kind of behind her, and Ed's there with his banjo. It was a magical moment.
It sounds magical. That's pretty amazing. And you mentioned, the banjo and Creed and all that. It's kind of a throwaway, but they do the theme song for this, don't they?
Yes. It's Creed's
How
song.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's Creed's song, Rubber Tree. Yeah, and Ed
plays banjo on the song. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's just so much Office.
We like to keep
love.
it in the family.
Yes. And I texted Creed. Creed and I are neighbors. He lives down the street from me. It makes for interesting walks around the neighborhood. I just will every once in a while hear pumpkin. I'm like, what's up, Creed? But I texted him and he was like, of course, I'd love to do it. So he was part of this, which was really special to us.
It's so amazing. I think as early as, I don't know, a couple of months ago, maybe September, NBC was talking about for their streaming service, Peacock, that they hope to one day or they intend to reboot The Office. And I'm curious for your thoughts on that, having such an attachment to this family and to this cast. And, has that changed over time on what they could or should do with The Office and the legacy?
I don't think that a reboot is the right idea. I don't think that taking all of us and putting us back in Dunder Mifflin in our desks, so much time has passed, and many of our characters left Dunder Mifflin at the finale, and I think that it would just be very jarring and sort of weird to suddenly find us all back in the office. But what I think would be perfect...
Ready?
...is an Office reunion special movie.
Yes.
A reason that all of our characters have to come back together in the present day with the passage of time so we can revisit everyone and their relationships, and we are 100% up for that. We want it.
These two people are
Guess
100% up for that.
But we are not in charge of that.
We are not in charge
of
of
If we were,
anything.
you would be watching it tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes. But exactly.
But we are, all of the cast members text and email about it. Like, we're all really up for it. So I hope there's a way to figure out how to do that, because especially now, rewatching it for the podcast, I am even more nostalgic for that group of people and to get to be in a room together with everyone.
You know what you got to do? Maybe like 100th episode kind of thing, but the show totally lends itself to this because it's a documentary. Do it in character. Do Pam and Angela watching an episode of the documentary and get their thoughts on it. That's what you got to do. Get Creed in there. Do a reunion on the podcast.
I don't think you want
Bring
Angela
everybody
Martin
together.
to be I don't know.
Oh, I think we do. I think we do want to hear it.
You would storm out in the first 2 minutes of the podcast. And Pam spoke so little. I'm starting to think this idea might not work.
Reunion movie. That's where we're at.
Reunion movie.
Well,
reunion
internet
special.
reunion movie. We got to make it happen. Guys, we can make that happen, right? There we go.
Yeah.
We'll get working right on it. I could literally sit here with you two for hours. I'm not going to subject you to that. But thank you for being here for the time you have. I got a ton of audience questions that I want to get to, as many as I can.
Yeah, I'd like that.
The first one I'm going to do is coming to us from Twitter, from Sweet XO Love 25. What's up, Meg, Laura, and Taylor? Oh, no, I don't know if that's your name. All right, Sweet XO Love 25. Here we go. What's your best memory together on the show?
Well,
I mean,
maybe when we met or when we became best friends.
oh yeah, that's the basketball episode.
Yeah. During the basketball episode, well, we had become friendly in those earlier episodes, but for the basketball episode, there were 2 days where all the men played basketball, and we sat on a bench and watched them. We were in the background, and a shooting day is about 12 hours long. So we spent about 24 hours sitting next to one another on a metal bench, and we told one another our life stories.
Everything
The bench
came
of
out.
truth. And I think it was Phyllis took
The
a
bench
picture.
of truth.
The
That's
bench of
kinda
truth.
cute. I like that.
Phyllis took a picture of us, and I have it framed in my home office because, how often do you... I can point to that picture and say, that's when we became best friends.
Did you know
on that bench?
You knew it in that moment, too?
In that moment, I thought, this is my friend for life.
Yeah.
Well, that was during the first season of The Office, and we really didn't expect to get picked up for a second season. Our ratings were very low, and we thought when we finished that season that we would all go our separate ways. But I knew that after that, even if we went our separate ways, that this person was still going to be my friend.
Yeah, we left we were filming in the warehouse, the basketball game, and we were there till late at night, and we had to walk across a pretty big parking lot to get back to where our trailers were. And Jenna and I didn't know that Steve Carell was walking behind us. He's such a sweet, sort of quiet person, and she and I had locked arms, and this sort of dates us, but we were doing Laverne and Shirley, so we were like, we're gonna do it, Shamil. We were doing the whole thing.
We were being total dorks.
We were being total dorks because we'd become best friends. And Steve was like behind us, and we turned, and we were like, oh my gosh. And he just started laughing, and he was like, you know what? No matter what happens with the show, this is what you guys will take from it. And he was absolutely right. So that's a very special episode to us.
Very sweet. Great question. Thank you for that. I've got a bunch in the room. Let's get to as many as we can. The first one, you've got a microphone. I'm going to say it's you. Go for it.
What's your favorite moment from the show, like that you're excited to do on the podcast?
I'm very excited to talk about the injury episode. That was one of my favorites when Michael grills his foot. I have a lot of really good stories about that and becoming Dwight's friend. I am excited because that's coming up soon. We're going to get to that one
That
pretty
episode
soon.
taught me the word protuberance.
Oh
my
God.
My
Of
elbow
course.
has a protuberance. Anyway, what's your favorite?
Well, I would love to talk about, and it's going to come up, when I throw the cat in the ceiling, Bandit. Yeah. So I have a great story from that day of filming.
Can't wait. Great question. Thank you. Let's get another one. Microphone right there.
Hi guys, my name is Toka. My question is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you first started acting?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, Toka, I wrote a book about it. It's a little plug.
Little flex about to happen.
Yeah, I wrote a book called The Actor's Life, a Survival Guide, which is all of my advice to aspiring actors and artists and basically all the things that I wish someone had told me. I think the biggest thing is that every artistic life and the life of an actor is a roller coaster. There's going to be ups and downs. There's never a moment that you made it and then you're done. Even now, it's just a lot of peaks and valleys, and you can't beat yourself up when you're in the low moments. And when you're in the high moments, don't let your ego get out of control. Try to stay even. But, I struggled as an actor in Los Angeles for 8 years before I got my audition for The Office. I had been working a lot in little bit parts, and if The Office hadn't become The Office, I would have just gone right back to auditioning. So there's a lot of luck involved, but there's also, a lot of hard work and preparation, but the two have to meet.
Yeah, it's a hustle. I call it. People are like, how are things going? I'm like, just doing the hustle, because it really is. But I think one of the things that I wish I would have known in the beginning is that only you do what you do. It sounds really simple, but I'm going to have my take on a role and my take on the sides and how to deliver it, and no one else in the room is going to do it the way I do it. So just go in with that confidence, and if you're not right for it, who cares? There'll be another one. And I just try not to get attached to a job in that way. I go in, I do my thing, and I like my thing. And if they're not feeling it, it's fine. There'll be another one.
And also, sometimes getting a role or not getting a role is really arbitrary. It's not based on talent. So when you don't get something, it's not because you didn't give a great performance. It's because, we already cast someone with that same color hair, and for whatever reason, we can't imagine coloring your hair a different color, so we're just going to hire someone else.
Do you ever, when you get feedback like that, go, if only I colored my hair the color they wanted? Do you ever turn it around, or have you in time learned that it's not,
No, I don't anymore. I think there was a time when I did I wish maybe I'd looked a little differently. But then I'm like, no, if they can't see it, then it's not mine. And that's okay. It's not meant to be.
Great question. Thank you, Kate. I've got more. Let's go. Microphone right there. Do it.
Hi, I'm Haley. I was kind of wondering, what was your process of really defining your character traits of Pam and Angela? Were there any people in your own life who inspired you, or movie characters that kind of helped you really define those specific traits?
I mean, I really approached Angela Martin. I just sort of did a Rolodex of people in my life. So I had been working at a company as an operator. And there was a lady that was in charge. She was the office manager, and she was in charge of the Christmas parties. She yelled at me because I did the bow wrong. We were tying bows on a banister. And so there was a little bit of her. She was in charge of cleaning out the break room refrigerator. And if you didn't have your name and date, it went in the trash. She was hardcore. And then also my grandmother, Lena Kinsey, she did not care for The Office because she thought Michael Scott was vulgar. And she would say things to me like, baby, we are so proud of you, but I do not watch the show. I don't care for it. And so there was a little bit of Angela Martin there for me. And I even kept a photo all 9 years on our desk. We were encouraged to decorate our desks as if they were our own. And I put a photo of my grandmother and I. And in the photo, my eyes are closed. But she sent that picture to me. I love it, of course. So, that was on my, desk all 9 years, is her smiling at me
I really based Pam on my own life. I worked as a receptionist and administrative assistant as a struggling actor. When I was in high school, I took a typing class, and I can type 80 words per minute with 98% accuracy. And thank you very much. 85 words per minute was my like all-time record.
I like the accuracy though. That's the key.
Listen, anybody can type a bunch of worthless letters onto a screen very quickly, but are they words?
It's going to be okay.
Are they words?
It's going to be okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct to applaud. Yes.
Anyone can bang a keyboard.
That's what she said.
Thank you. So anyway, that was my side hustle. That's how I made my money. And so I spent years answering phones, wishing that I could express myself artistically. And that's Pam. Pam is just sitting there waiting for her life to change somehow and not knowing exactly how to do it. I think the difference is just that I think I'm a little bit more of a go-getter. I'm definitely more ambitious. It would not take me 3 years to tell Jim how I feel. It would take me about 3 minutes. So, you know.
I also don't think you'd let anyone throw garbage at your head.
No, I probably wouldn't. But all of those ways that I felt, I don't know, just like helpless and confused and wanting something but not knowing how to get it, I channeled all of that into the character of Pam.
It's a great question. I got time for one more question. You have a microphone. You're
Hey
right
guys,
here. Go.
so nice
Hello.
to meet you. So you guys, it's such an iconic show, such iconic actors. And so Jenna, you produced a lot of the episodes of the Office, I think like 15. And so I was wondering, like, what's the craziest like horror story you have as a producer? Like, how are we gonna get this done? Like something like that, you know?
Oh, so it was in season 9 that Greg invited John and I to come on as producers, and it was because he wanted us to help contribute to the final storyline for Jim and Pam. So most of what John and I did was sit and brainstorm with the writers and with Greg about ideas for how to fill out that final season with Jim and Pam. And so we didn't do any of the kind of like, I've done other producing, which is like budgets and how do I get this location and how do I schedule all these people? But this was more creatively inclined, the producing on The Office. It was really about breaking stories and talking to the writers and that sort of thing. So I'm sorry, I don't have any horror stories about it except to say it was really exciting to be brought in like that. And that was Greg Daniels. He's our showrunner, and he was the creator who adapted the show from the British series. And he was always coming to the actors and asking us to participate in our stories and our characters. And that was really exciting. And then to be invited so intimately into the process was really special.
I learned how to work a call sheet from Jenna Fischer. I'll tell you that much. Listen, she could plan anything. I'm convinced of it. Like you have stuff down to the minute. And I'm not super detail oriented, so I'd be like, I don't know what time I'm going to show up. I mean, on time, but like I wouldn't really check the rest of the day. But now I'm like, oh, I see what's happening. Mm-hmm. That's all you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Fast facts, Fisher.
Do we have time for one more or no?
We have one more in the room. Oh, I was just shaking her. Sorry.
No, she left.
I trust Kate.
Okay.
Kate's.
Here's someone right here in the front row has a question.
Oh,
Can
Jenna.
we get them a microphone? You know what? I'll give you my microphone. We'll do one more.
Jenna's going rogue, guys.
She's taking
I've
over.
gone
She's
rogue.
controlling this podcast. This
Be
episode.
kind.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, sorry. What do you want your characters or both of you as actresses' legacies to be for new fans like me or people that are binge watching The Office 20 years from now?
Well, thank you for that great question. That's such a good question to end on.
Yes.
So when I was a little girl growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, I used to watch Cheers with my family. We've got St. Louis.
St. Louis.
I used to watch Cheers with my family, and I loved Shelley Long on that show as Diane, and Sam and Diane were this iconic television love story. And I thought my biggest dream come true would be to grow up and be on an ensemble comedy where I get to play like some sort of defining role that people remember forever, like how I feel about Shelley Long on Cheers. So I feel like my dream has come true, and if I just get called Pam for the rest of my life, I'll be happy.
And for me, I get called my own name. So
It's its own kind of dream.
so it's my dream is every day. No, Jenna put that so beautifully. I think just having a dream and just going for it and not ever letting anyone tell you what your dream can be. That's your dream. You get to make it what you want. And knowing that your self-worth is your own and no one gets to put that on you. I think that's what I would want.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful question. I'd like, with your permission, can we wrap up?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank
There we are. So let's remind everybody, if you haven't already, go subscribe right now. Office Ladies, it just came out today. Subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. It's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, it's all over the place. Also follow them on Instagram and Twitter. Office Ladies Pod is going to be where you can follow as well. Jenna, where can they find your book?
You can find my book anywhere they sell books. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, bookstores. Yes. Yeah.
And then, Angela, you're hosting a show for Disney Plus coming up. Is that correct?
I am. I'm really excited about it. It's a family cooking show, and it was so fun. I got super attached to everyone. I cry every episode. It's great.
Perfect.
Oh, we also have a website.
Oh, yes.
It's called theofficeladies.com.
Yes.
Perfect.
And you'll be able to find whatever we're up to on that site.
And you can find the podcast there as well.
I can't believe that was available. And just in the world of .coms, theofficeladies.com, you got it. Well done. Congratulations on that alone. And, of course, this amazing podcast. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you guys for being an amazing audience.
Thank you
Wonderful
for coming
questions.
out. Thank you.
Yes, do exactly that. And join me in thanking the great Jenna Fischer and Angela Kinsey for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you.